Hey, everybody, this is Maxine Taylor, and I have what I hope will be an uplifting, inspiring forecast for you. Today, I'm going to be talking about the possibility of when the United States might experience uh, a positive result, a movement forward, a healing when it comes to our money, our health, and our jobs. And so I've boiled it all down to a concise forecast, which I'll share with you. I think it's very important that everybody knows the forecast, not just for our country, but also for yourself. And so what if you've been to my website lately, you'll see that I just posted my spring special, which is a 6-month forecast for you. Combine this with what I'm sharing, what I'm getting ready to share about the United States, and I think you'll find that you'll have a wonderful roadmap for yourself, and hopefully I can give you the optimistic outlook that you're looking for. Now, there is a great deal involved in forecasting what might be happening, particularly not just for a person, but for an entire country. And right now, of course, the world is involved in the coronavirus pandemic. I am so tired of hearing the numbers. They're so upsetting to me. And so I decided to look for the ray of sunshine. That's what I always do. If I've done your chart, you know I'm going to tell you what's great about you. You've been told what's wrong with you by well-meaning people, or maybe not so well-intentioned people. And I'm going to give you the rainbow. I'm going to give you the sun coming out after the storm. So, first of all, I'm going to start by explaining very briefly some astrological things, it's a technical term, that astrologers know about. Because many of you are not students of astrology, and I want you to feel comfortable with my forecast for us. Now, this looks very busy. Ignore all the arrows and all of that. You just notice that there are areas of the chart that are filled with little colored squiggles. These areas of the chart are called houses, and each house deals with a different area of life. The first house in a mundane chart deals with the attitude and political mood of the people. It also deals with public health. It deals with our physical approach to everything. Okay. The second house, and you notice I've got some indicators here that this house is activated, the first house. The second house is the house of our income. It deals with commerce and trade, but more importantly, it deals with our income, our earnings, our savings, our finances, the stock exchange, banks, debts, and escrow. So you can see this is a very important area. The sixth house, now this is just for one of the planets. It's not activated here, but it is later on. The sixth house deals with, in your birth chart, work, health, and service. In a mundane chart, which is what we use for a country, it deals with our health and our jobs. Civil servants like the military, police, and fire. It deals with food, okay? So health and jobs primarily. So what we are looking at here is a chart that I've drawn up that deals with eclipses. Those of you who are students of mine or clients of mine know I love eclipses because whenever we have them, they just kick butt. They move us forward. We feel the effects of an eclipse about a week before it occurs, and they usually occur in pairs or in threes. We feel them, as I said, a week or so before they occur until the next pair or threesome of eclipses come along, but they're at their peak 3 to 4 months after they occur. I'm going to describe to you those eclipses that are dealing with our money, our health, and our jobs. The first eclipse was in 2019. It was the Christmas eclipse. And I have it right up here. This is the 8th house of other people's money. It deals with debts and escrow, the treasurer, with taxes, with losses, with death, and with secrets. And it can be transformative, which is wonderful. But in a mundane chart, it's secrets and it's all kind of stuff dealing with taxes and money, and it's joint finances. All right, this particular eclipse triggered all that I just described, and it was in opposition to this beautiful second house of our income, our money. In this beautiful second house, we have Venus, the pink planet, the lesser benefic. We have Jupiter, the turquoise planet, the greater benefic. So we've got the two good guys of the zodiac, the ones that bring love and money and health and prosperity and all the good stuff that we want. It's in our second house of money. And just for good measure, we have the sun, the center of our solar system. The sun is the giver of life. So these three marvelous planets are in our second house of money and earnings and the stock market and banks and commerce and all that good stuff. So here we have an eclipse that is in opposition to this wonderful financial picture. It is also quincunx our ascendant, meaning there is some adjustment to be made in our attitude or political attitude, the mood of the people, and public health. And that is exactly what is going on right now, even as I describe this eclipse, because as I said, we feel the effects of an eclipse till the next couple come along, but they're at their peak 3 to 4 months afterwards. So March and April are when this wonderful eclipse is at its peak. In other words, right now, kids, right now. The next eclipse, now I'm not including every single eclipse. I'm only dealing with money, jobs, and health. The next eclipse I'm going to talk about is June 21st, and this one is awesome. Because on June 21st, we have an eclipse right here in the second house, triggering Venus, money, Jupiter, money, and the sun, more money. And that second house deals with our earning potential. So this is a contradiction to the December 25th, 26th eclipse, the Christmas eclipse. So it's a 6 of one, half a dozen of another, which is what we're feeling right now. The next eclipse that I want to talk about will be July 5th. Now we've got another eclipse in June, but it doesn't do anything one way or the other with the subjects at hand. So the July eclipse, July 5th, back in the 8th house, all right, it, interestingly enough, is in opposition again to our money. And one more time to remind you, the 8th house is the treasurer, it's debts, escrow, taxes, losses, death, and secrets. There you have it. This eclipse also squares Saturn, excuse me. Saturn is the planet of responsibility and responding to your ability. However, in a mundane chart, we read it very matter-of-factly, just like the old-timey astrologers did. And it can be restriction, it can be concern, it can even be fear. We certainly don't want to go there. It's in the 5th house of children and fun, like sports or gambling or movies. It affects the birth rate. It deals with congressional and public hearings, that 5th house does. And so we may find ourselves having more congressional and public hearings. And teachers. So we have a T cross. And whenever we have a T cross, the empty arm of that T cross is where the energy goes. It goes to the 11th house of Congress, congressmen and congresswomen, legislation, the Treasury, city and county councils. I'm doing 3 things at once here. Forgive me. And so something's going to come up about money naturally that Congress is going to be involved in. All right. That will either speed it up or hold it up. The final eclipse that I want to describe is, excuse me. I left something important out with that beautiful June 21st eclipse. I have a red star here. And that is because I put a red star next to any eclipse that falls on the sun, the moon, or the ascendant. The ascendant is the most personal point in the chart. It deals with the body, whether it's of millions of people or your own body. And so this eclipse that we're going to be having June 21st gives new life to our banking system, perhaps, to our income, because it is on the sun. All right, now moving ahead. I just did the July 5th eclipse. We're going to have an eclipse on November 30th that sits right smack dab on the ascendant of the United States. I use the 7 Gemini chart that has 7 Gemini on the ascendant. Next to the ascendant is Uranus, the rebel, the one that says, out with the old. I want to bust loose. I want to revamp myself. It is a very powerful planet. It rules the 10th house of the president and the party in power. And what it says here is that those people influence the body public, so to speak. And that can trigger a bit of a rebellious response. It is a new life eclipse. And what this tells me is that the people are going to take charge and do what they want, when they want, how they want, because they want. Okay. And probably because it was triggered by the president. Now, let me keep on going, because these wonderful eclipses I love them. I'm a big eclipse person. Before I go any further, I want to mention, and some of you already know this, that Venus and Mercury are both going to be retrograde. They're going to take turns. They're going to tag team us, starting with the shadow of the Venus retrograde and ending with the shadow of the retrograde Mercury. What I would suggest that you might want to do, if you don't know what the shadow is look on my YouTube channel at a video that is entitled Mercury Retrograde, the prequel and the sequel. Essentially, the shadow sets the stage for the retrograde. It announces it, and we feel it beforehand and after the planet goes direct when it comes out of retrograde. When Mercury is retrograde, when Venus is retrograde, everything is confused. And this is the time of year which I mentioned in my United States forecast, where we really won't be able to believe anything that we're told. And we're already starting to see it right now, because all of the scientists, when it comes to talking about the coronavirus, are saying one thing, and the president is saying something that is totally different. And the country, of course, is divided because they're confused. And some people are listening only to the president, others are listening only to the scientists, and you can see it's Tower of Babel up there on the podium. Everybody's speaking a different language, or at least they're speaking two languages. So this is a little quick indicator of both Venus and Mercury going retrograde and then direct. What we're going to find, and that starts April 9th and continues through July 26th. Now, let me give you the finer points, all right? Venus, the planet of love and beauty and happiness, starts in the second house of money, and then it backs up and sits on the United States ascendant. First, it passes Mars and fires everybody up, and then it sits on Uranus, and everybody's rebellious, and then it goes direct right on the ascendant of the United States. And I feel like that is a time when there can be improvement in our health. All that to say, it goes direct on June 26th and kind of hovers there on the ascendant and Uranus till July 9th. This is a time when the energy flows directly, and we can anticipate some form of either remuneration or improvement in our health. Now, you might say, well, that's a couple of months away. Yeah, it is. But we'll be starting to feel it, don't you worry, even before it actually happens. And then Mercury is going to go direct. Mercury is our mouth and our minds, what we think about. It's going to go direct on our Jupiter, the greater benefic, which is terrific for our money situation. So without going into so much detail, just know from April 9th till July 26th, crazy town. When Venus goes retrograde, it feels just like a Mercury retrograde. And we do not begin new projects under a retrograde Mercury or a retrograde Venus, because any new project begun during this retrograde time will either fizzle out completely or have to be redone within the year. Just a little heads up. All righty. So let me put this over here. And now, let me show you the sun. The transit, meaning the orbit, the placement of the sun, is very, very important in our personal forecast and in our country's forecast. Why? Well, it's very simple. The sun is the giver of life. It sits on the United States ascendant on May 28th, light eliminates darkness. It brings health. So we're talking about the body politic with the sun on the ascendant and on Uranus. And there is a liberation of sorts. Maybe it's from illness, maybe it's from the virus, or maybe it's just the people saying, we're doing it our way, whether it's the states or the county governments. But this is a very positive sign for people coming into their own, doing what they want, when they want, how they want, because they want. On June 10th, the sun sits on Mars. Mars is energy. Mars is action. And Mars rules Scorpio, which is intercepted in the 6th house of health in the United States chart. And so I'm looking at this as an improvement in our health. Then the sun moves into the 2nd house and it lights it up and it brings life to Venus, Jupiter, and the sun, to our money. I'll stop there, to our money, to our seniors, to our health. I'm thinking of I'm actually looking at the actual chart of the United States and seeing all this. So there's more money. How much money? I don't know, but there it is. Okay, as the sun moves around the United States chart, on October 16th, it enters our 6th house of health and jobs. And when we're our health and our happiness and our jobs tie in together. If you're happy, you're healthy. The sun sits on the vertex. This is our karmic role in life. It is a very karmic placement. It sits there October 21st, meaning there can be a major shift, an uplifting shift in our health. Let's do Venus. Venus is the lesser benefic, as we know. It brings love, it brings happiness, it brings money, it brings all the good stuff. It goes, after it's gone direct, of course, it sits on our ascendant, our Gemini ascendant, April 12th, and on Uranus, April 13th. And so we are just ready to party. We're ready to bust loose. We're ready to enjoy ourselves individually. I feel like this is a time when we really can find improved health and a new attitude, a whole new attitude. I love it. Then it moves into, it sits on our Mars, and there is nothing stopping Mars. Mars says, I'm doing it now. I'm doing what I want, when I want, how I want, because I want. So Venus sits on Mars, and we are so ready to enjoy. So I feel like that's when we're kind of let out of the barn. And Venus precedes the sun. So when the sun sits on Mars in June, we'll definitely be ready. All right, on the 8th of August, Venus sits on Mars May 3rd through 6th. On August 8th, we have a Venus return. Venus returns to its natal place in the US chart. And when a planet returns, it's even stronger than it was just roving around. This really should have a positive impact on our spending as well as our earning. Venus returns to its natal place August 10th, and then it sits on the greater benefic, Jupiter, August 13th. I mean, we've got natally Venus conjunct, meaning next to Jupiter, and the transiting Venus sits on Jupiter. Oh, happy day. Then on August 20th, Venus sits on the sun. Our domestic picture will improve, and so will our money. And again, I can't tell you how much, wish I could. but I love the way that looks. Okay, now Mercury. Now, Mercury is what we think about and talk about. It is not any more than that. It's a neutral planet that brings our mind into play. Well, on May 15th, Mercury crosses our ascendant. We're communicating more with one another. Maybe we're meeting more with one another. Mercury sits on Uranus. Uranus rules the president, the 10th house, and the party in power. And there is a bit of conversation going on. Mercury then sits on Mars, and there's a little yelling going on. May 5th, no, May 22nd, excuse me, I'm looking at that 5. On the 28th, Mercury goes into our second house, and we're thinking about our money. We're creating more money. We're talking about our money. It is, I love it. I love it. Oh, did I do the vertex here? I'm going to go back and do the Venus and the vertex. Hang when I finish Mercury. On September 30th, Mercury sits on our vertex. And this is wonderful because that's our karmic role in life. And Mercury brings new ideas to our health, to our work, to our civil servants, etc. Venus on our vertex, November 24th, is beautiful. Venus is love. It is the lesser benefic. It brings all the good stuff. So does Jupiter. And Venus sitting on our vertex certainly indicates an improvement in our health, in the health of our civil servants, and hopefully in workers' money. Now, sorry about overlooking that. I worked on this for hours to get it clarified. Now, I want to talk about the new moon and the full moon for a second. I had put the December 30th full moon in the chart with the eclipses because a full moon brings things to a head, but I'm going to describe it here with the other lunations. We have 2 new moons and a full moon. On the new moon, the energy starts growing, which is great. About 2 days before the new moon, there is no energy. So we want new moon, absolutely. The first new moon that activates our money, our health, or our jobs, is the new moon on May 22nd in 2 degrees of Gemini. It sits on the ascendant and Uranus. And this starts kicking people forward. You know, Uranus is the rebel. And when it is triggered, there is rebellion expressed. And sometimes rebellion is a good thing because it gets you off your butt, it gets you moving forward, and it brings about change. Uranus is called the Great Awakener. I love it. Now, that's the new moon on May 22nd. There's a new moon October 16th, right on the cusp or the edge of our 6th house of work, health, and service. And so this is going to start the workers will get more energy. Workers can get aid, can get help. I certainly hope it doesn't take that long for money to come in for them. Businesses, of course, can start moving forward again. This is really terrific. Our health improves. Now we've got 2 health houses. Public health is the first, and the health of the people and the workers is 6th. So both of these are triggered. I love it. And the full moon on December 30th brings things to a head. Wherever the full moon is, that's where things come to a head and pop. And look at here. In our second house of money, sitting on Venus and Jupiter, the two benefics, and the sun. So there are financial blessings, and there's more money for people. And so I have worked on this for days and today for hours and condensed it. I hope you have found this helpful. It made me feel good when I looked at it. Now there's the money situation, the health situation, and the job situation, of course, we're not going to be finished with them. We'll have more energy well, first of all, the second half of the year, which is why I'm suggesting you get your own personal 6-month forecast, because the second half of the year is crazy. Mercury goes direct on November 3rd, which is election day. And the second half of the year, we have another Mercury retrograde. We have Mars retrograde as well. When Mars goes retrograde, nothing happens. Nothing happens. So I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to next time. I'll be putting up my monthly forecasts in the next couple of days. So, dear friends, my blessing for you, my fondest wish, is that the stars shine brightly on you and yours.